guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tamara and I'm growing on an 18 by 18 concrete patio in Central North Carolina, Zone 8A. So I'm growing exclusively in containers. I'm going to be doing a more in-depth video at some point about my process with planting the garden, kind of just what I did to plan things out, how I researched what I wanted to do and organized all that information, but that's going to be a little bit of a longer video. So what I wanted to do today is to just do a quick little overview of all of the plants that I have decided to grow this year. So I'm going to show you all my seed packets, talk you through a little bit about why I made the decision, if it's something that I've grown before or if it's something new, and any like challenges that I've maybe had before that I'm hoping to fix this year. So I'm going to start with the spring crops and then I'm going to move on to the summer crops. And then just given the way the seasons are here, my plan for the fall is pretty much going to be the same as the spring. So I'm not going to do a specific thing about the fall plants, and I might change my mind as I get there. But let me start with the fall. So I'm going to start with brassicas and greens. So brassicas are like my favorite thing. I love broccoli, I love cabbage, I love anything like that. And being in the small space that I'm in, it's hard to grow a lot of that. And I also had a lot of trouble with cabbage worms last year. So a lot of the other crops that I'll talk about a little bit later come from me trying to help deter cabbage worms and are things that maybe I wouldn't have chosen to grow otherwise, but I'm hoping that it'll help with the cabbage worm. Let me start with the broccoli and cabbage. So I'm trying out two varieties of broccoli. Last year, I think the one that I grew was the Bell Star, I can't remember, but this year I went for the DiCicco, and I also have the Burgundy. So the reason why I picked these two is because they are kind of smaller heads and they have more shoots. So I just felt like given the small space, I would be able to get more out of these crops. These are a little bit ahead of the Burgundy because I already have these seeds. These ones I ordered and had to wait on. So these got started a couple weeks after the DiCicco. But these are the two types of broccoli I'm trying this year. I'm also trying cabbage. I have actually tried cabbage for several years, usually from plants that I get at the nursery. Last year I tried the Caraflex cabbage, which is supposed to be like a small head, but last year I had really bad cabbage worms, so that just didn't happen. They grew, but they didn't get to full maturity because I think they were just really stressed out from the cabbage worms, and they were covered in cabbage worm poop. So whatever was there, I wasn't going to eat it. So they just got pulled out. But I'm trying out the Copenhagen Market and Red Acre. I love red cabbage. So we're just gonna see how these go. I've never really had luck with cabbage forming big heads. Like the plants will grow and they look pretty, but they don't really turn into something edible. So I think this will be my last time trying cabbage. If it doesn't work, I don't think it'll be worth putting in the garden again, but I do love it so much that I just wanted to give it a try. Brassica that I do have a lot of, I have a lot of kale. We cook a lot of greens in our house. My husband and I'm pescatarian. He's not. He'll eat meat, but we don't really cook meat at home. So a lot of our meals are actually, we love Rainbow Plant Life. She's a vegan YouTuber. So we do a lot of her recipes. So we do use a lot of greens, a lot of vegetables in our house, especially kale. And in the summer, I like a good kale salad. So I have 3 types of kale I'm trying this year, and I have pretty much a whole green stalk dedicated mostly to kale. So I have the lacinato kale, that's the, or sometimes called dinosaur kale. That's the big flat leaves. That one is not looking like it's growing a whole lot. I only have 1 tier on the green stalk with this, and I put it on the bottom because it is the biggest. It grows really tall, but I'm not seeing it really making a lot of progress, so we'll see how that goes. The other 2 I have are the Dwarf Blue Curled and the Dazzling Blue. This already looks so pretty outside. It already looks really gorgeous. And then this one isn't as pretty of a color, but I'm starting to see the little like curly stuff. So that's exciting. I have 2 tiers of each of these kind of intermingled with some other crops to help deter cabbage worms. And then some other greens I am trying are spinach. I grew some, I tried some Bloomsdale spinach last fall. And what I did with that was I just kind of sprinkled it in a bed and let it do its thing. And what I found with that was, first of all, I think I needed to thin it, and the heads were really tight. It was just hard to kind of pick a few here and there. So I thought I would try this variety instead. It's meant to be for smaller spaces. And I figured these just looked like they might be a little easier to pick off what I needed. So I planted a few of these, and I already have quite a few seedlings really starting to take off. So I've been pleased with that. Something else I wanted to try, I've never eaten this, sorrel. So I think this is more of like a wild plant that you can find a lot. What brought it on my radar is I have a couple Ukrainian cookbooks, and in those cookbooks, there are some recipes that call for sorrel. I found a sorrel plant at the farmer's market last year, I think, and I tried planting it, but I think it was too hot at that point, and it just never really took off, and we never ate it. But from what I understand, this is supposed to be kind of like a lemony spinach flavor, so that sounds like something I would really like. So I'm trying out some of this year. Moving on to some lettuce. I'm not a big salad person, but I figure if I am going to eat salad, it's probably going to taste better fresh. And the one reason why I don't eat a lot of salad is because it goes bad so quickly. So I thought I would just try out a few different salad varieties. I don't have too many of them out there. I just wanted to try it out first. So a few that I have are this Marvel of the Four Seasons. I just thought that looked really, really beautiful. The salad bowl blend. This also looked really nice. So I was looking for leafy lettuces, not big heading lettuces, just because of the space. I do have here a romaine lettuce, but it's a mini one. So this is a heading lettuce, but it's supposed to be a mini version. I got this because I do like Caesar salad. So I thought this would be fun to try. That's all I'm doing for lettuce. Let's go to root vegetables. So I am trying to grow some beets. I've tried beets a couple years already. I've not had great results. I think some of that was user error. I did not get really any roots last year. I got beautiful greens. They were absolutely gorgeous, and I ate them and they were delicious, but there were no roots on the beets. This was in the fall, and I think that was just my soil being way too dense. So I've hopefully fixed that this year. But the 3 varieties I have are this Early Wonder. I've grown this before. Last year I think I did the Detroit Dark Red. But this one, I think I got some roots a few years ago when I tried this, but not really big greens. And I tried doing this in the green stalk last spring when I had the wrong kind of soil. So it did like absolutely nothing. So I'm just trying this again. So the Early Wonder, these are supposed to grow pretty small and pretty quickly. So that's why I wanted to pick this so that I could get them out of the containers pretty soon so I can start making room for summer crops. So you might be noticing a little bit of a trend of me picking smaller crops and ones that maybe grow a little quicker so that I can make room for summer crops. Another variety I have, I've never tried this. This is called Robin. These are supposed to be kind of like a baby sort of beet. So I thought this would be fun to try. And then I've never had golden beets, but I wanted to try these. So one thing about beets with me is I actually don't really like beets. I know you shouldn't grow what you don't like, but I do love borscht. And we make a really, really yummy spring borscht that uses the root and the greens. So That's why I want to try growing beets. So I'm not gonna, I don't really like eating just a plain beet. Even if it's roasted, it's just a really strong earthy it tastes to me the way that dirt smells, so it's not my favorite. So I was reading that if you don't like that strong earthiness, that the golden beets can be good, so I wanted to give those a try. But I'm hoping that with the red beets I can get a good harvest and hopefully make a borscht and show you guys how to do that. Another thing I thought would be fun to try, because I know these are really easy to grow and I'm already seeing that, is turnips. I have never eaten a turnip, at least not that I'm aware of, but I like other root vegetables, so I thought I'd give it a try. I saw that you can kind of use these sort of like potatoes, so I'm going to be doing that. Ooh, speaking of potatoes, I almost was gonna forget to go over that since I don't actually have a seed packet. So I'm also trying potatoes this year. I have 2 types of potatoes. I got some sort of red potato. I want to say it was red Norland is what I got. Here, let me see if I can find that. So I can't find the specific potato I got. I want to say it was red Norland. So I got red Norland and I got Yukon Gold. I got them from Wood Prairie Family Farms in Maine. I heard a lot of good things about this company, so I ordered like the smallest batch of seed potatoes I could. So I got 4 red potatoes and 3 Yukon Gold potatoes. So those are already seeming to do really well. The red ones, all of those have popped through and are really starting to grow leaves. The Yukon Gold, I've only seen 1 pop through and it's still quite small, so I'm hoping those take off. On to onions. So for many years now, I have tried leeks. I think I've always done those a little too early and they take a long time to grow. So I've never really had these amount to anything. And I'm feeling that that's not gonna happen this year either. They're just growing very slowly, and I don't think I have the patience for leeks. I love leeks. I just don't think I have the patience for them. And given the limited space, I don't know that it makes sense for me to try to grow them. What I did this year was I took a water jug, or milk jug. It didn't have milk in it, it had water, but same container. And I cut some of it out and just made a big thing to put soil in, and I threw a bunch of seeds and they all germinated, but I've been having a hell of a time trying to transplant them. So I think if I do try leeks next year, maybe I will try it one more time. I think what I'm going to try to do, honestly, is put the seeds in the ground at the end of fall and just let them sit there all winter and see if they come up in the spring. That might be what I do. But I have some of those and I don't think they're gonna grow all the way. I think I'm gonna end up just pulling them out. And then I have here some scallions. Scallions are also something that I probably wouldn't have grown, but I know that onions and stuff like that can be really helpful to deter cabbage worms and cabbage moths. So I planted some of these. My husband loves to cook a lot of Asian food, so I got the Tokyo scallions for him. And then I always, when I go to any store that sells botanical interest, I always go and just check out the seeds and see what they have. And this Italian red Florence really stood out to me because it says that you can kind of use them kind of like a red onion. They do form bulbs a little bit. So I just wanted to try these, and I figure even if they don't fully mature and I don't use them, I can at least have that onion smell there for some pest deterrents. Moving on to carrots. So last fall I grew the Sheen Kuroda carrot, and these did very, very well. So I'm planting more of them this year, and I'll definitely plant more in the fall. I'm also trying the Carnival blend. Now these ones seem to be a little longer, although it says you can harvest them at 3 to 4 inches long for a baby carrot, but they do seem like they grow a little longer. So this would be a little harder to grow in my space. The reason why these ones worked so well is because they are only about 5 inches. So that was perfect for my small space. But these ones look a little longer. So I didn't have a lot of places I could put them, but I'm trying it out. So we'll see how that goes. And then I also have these little finger carrots. These are meant to be very small, and that is great for my situation and a container garden. So I have a lot of these sprinkled around. I actually am experimenting with putting these in the same pot as the potatoes, just kind of around the edge, thinking that, you know, these aren't going to get very deep, and hopefully they'll be mature and ready to pick by the time that the potatoes really start coming through and using up a lot of space in the containers. So that is what I have for carrots. I was not originally planning on growing peas. I'm not a big like sugar snap pea person, like where you eat the whole pod. I don't really like that. But I do love peas. So I really wanted to try shelling peas. I knew this probably wouldn't be worth it unless I could plant a lot of them. And it dawned on me that I could plant a whole row at the very back of all the beds that I have my brassicas. So I planted a bunch of peas and they're looking really nice. So I'm excited to see how that goes. So this is the only pea variety I'm planting. Let's move on to spring herbs. So I have a little bit of oregano. Last fall I grew oregano. This, I did not realize how crazy oregano goes. Same thing with thyme. Let me see my thyme. I have the English thyme. So last fall, I took my cedar planter that I have, and I literally just threw a bunch of these seeds in there, not realizing how aggressive these are, especially the oregano. And I had way more oregano and thyme than I needed. I ended up like throwing it all out just to clear it out because it was a mess. And this year I planted them in seed trays and put them in like one small plant in a pocket in the green stock to hopefully keep that under control and not have it take over everything. So I have the Greek oregano, English thyme. I also did try planting some rosemary. I only got one to germinate, and so I have that up potted, seeing if it grows. But I do have a rosemary plant that I bought just to have on hand until this goes, if it does go at all. I have here some sage. I only have one pocket on the green stalk with sage. I really don't feel like I need a lot of sage. It's a very strong flavor for me. So I like to only have one plant to pull off of if I ever need it. The ones that I'm really focusing on are parsley. I love parsley. I've not had luck growing it, I think just because it got too hot. So I started this quite early. And dill. I've always done the bouquet dill in the past, and I hardly ever got anything because it just grows so long and spindly. And then it gets so hot here so quickly that it would just flower and bolt. So I got this, the Tetra. This seems to be a little more heat tolerant is what it says. And it seemed like it would get more actual dill fronds on it. So I wanted to try that out because I love dill. And then I also have some cilantro. I personally cannot stand cilantro, but my husband cooks with a lot of it. So I wanted to try some out. We've done some in the past, but once again, I think we do it too late and it gets too hot. So I planted just a few of these a little earlier, so hopefully these will take off. So he has some cilantro. Finally, for the spring, let's go through some flowers. Now, in the past, I've only done a few flowers, and just kind of throwing them in empty places to see what happens. The ones that I've had success with are calendula, hyssop, and sunflowers. Those I've done pretty well with in the past. This year I'm focusing a little bit more on flowers once again because of the pest control. So I'm trying to incorporate a lot of those, but I don't have too much space to just have a lot of flowers. So I have to be kind of careful. I'm probably starting a lot more flower seeds than I actually need, but I figure I would just go ahead and try it. It's a big experiment, and whatever I end up using, I use, and whatever I don't, I don't. So first thing is the Magic Carpet Blend Snapdragons. These are doing great. I just up potted a bunch of these. I'm gonna have a crap ton of Snapdragons, which I actually used to have a Snapdragon that I actually bought at Lowe's a couple years ago and just had that sitting in a flower pot, and it actually came back every year, but it just got really big and bushy and unruly, so I ended up pulling it out. I also wanted to try out some bee balm. I think I had another type that I used up, so I don't have the seed packet, but just some bee balm. I planted this as seedlings inside, and I just up potted some of it, so we'll see how that goes. I originally had a botanical interest thing of white alyssum, but I used all that up, and I went out and I got some of this just to have a little more. This is supposed to be great for pest control, so I got that, and then I also got the Oriental Nights. I haven't planted any of this yet, but I have this just to throw anywhere I might need it, so those are doing really well. I have some hyssop, some feverfew, and some chamomile. All of these I kind of toyed around with starting outside winter sowing, and I also just went through and planted a bunch of summer flower seedlings and threw some of these in the seedling trays as well, just as backup in case that doesn't go. I have tried lavender a few times, have had abysmal luck. I may possibly have a seedling or two outside. Kind of hard to tell. I don't know if it's the lavender or if something else got over into that section of the tray that I had. So we'll see, but kind of like with the rosemary, I went out and I bought a lavender plant as well just to have as backup. I'm gonna try to grow breadseed poppy. I just thought this color was gorgeous, so I wanted to try these out. I direct sowed a bunch of these and they're all popping up, so I'm very pleased about that. So that'll be fun to watch. And then I have some calendula. This is one I've done in the past. Oh wow, this package is actually from 2023. So these might not be great, but I've done this one in the past and had a lot of luck. I wanted to try just a little bit of a different variety. So I have the Oopsie Daisy, and these are coming up really well right now. Another one I've done in the past that I kind of wish I got this year was I think it was called Zeolites. That one had some like pinkish and purple colors just to add a little variety of color. So that is the calendula, and that is all I have for spring crops. So let's move on to summer crops now, and let's start with herbs. So a lot of the herbs that I planted will grow into the summer, but there are a few herbs that you don't want to start until later, and one of those is basil. This is the Italian Genovese basil. I planted this last year and it was prolific, so I'm going to be planting a lot more of this. We made some really, really good pesto, and we froze some of the pesto, but I wish we had a lot more, so I'm probably gonna like quadruple what I did last year. Once again, because my husband likes to cook a lot of like Asian food, I thought I would try this sweet Thai basil. I'll probably just do 1 or 2 of these just to have something different to try. Then I have lemon balm and mint. Both of these you need to be very careful with because they will take over everything. So you want to do these in their own pots. So I'm going to start these in the next week or so, or maybe a little later. Yeah, 1 to 2 weeks after your average last frost date. And these I'll just direct sow. I've direct sown the lemon balm and it grows just fine. It's literally like a weed. I've not done mint because I always grew or bought a mint plant before, but I want to try growing my own. So I'll just do the same thing, throw that in a pot, give it its own home, and leave it at that. Let's move on to tomatoes. So I am not a big tomato person, so I'm not going to be planting a lot of tomatoes. The only thing I want tomatoes for is for like making sauces and stuff. So I have two types of Roma. I have a bush tomato and a pole tomato. We will see how these go. I've never done tomatoes from seeds. I've bought tomato plants and had horrible luck with them. 2 years ago, the containers we had them in were not draining very well at all. So the plants we got just completely drowned. And then last year we put gravel in the bottom of those to help with the drainage, but the bottoms of all the fruit rotted. So this is going to be my last year trying tomatoes. Like I said, I've never done it from seed. The seedlings look great right now, so I have high hopes for them. I'm just hoping that when I transplant them that they do okay. If it doesn't work this year, I'm not going to try tomatoes again. Like I said, I'm not a big tomato person. It would be fun to try to make our own sauce, and my husband does use a lot of Roma tomatoes in his cooking, and they can be quite expensive. So if we get some, great, and then I can try doing some more next year. But if it doesn't work, I'm just not going to try it again. Moving on to cucumbers. I've done cucumbers pretty much every year, and I do always get a big plant. Not always the greatest cucumbers. There was one year where they were all like curly. It was really weird. Last year I did get some decent cucumbers. I was still having the problem with some curling, but I was able to make some yummy pickles. I didn't really eat them just as a cucumber. They weren't great for that. And the one I tried last year was the Space Master. Once again, because this is supposed to be a little more compact. It is a vining cucumber. I don't know if I'll try this one this year, but this is what I had from last year. The ones I was really interested in trying this year are the Market More. These ones just look like really nice slicing cucumbers, so I'm hoping these ones end up good for that. And then because I do enjoy making pickles, I wanted to try the homemade pickles variety. These are just supposed to be the good kind that you want for pickles, where it's not too juicy, it's a little more dry, I think, and it's a little bit of a more compact variety. So that is what I have for cucumbers. Kind of going along with cucumber, same sort of family, is cantaloupe, Minnesota midget. So I love cantaloupe, but obviously cantaloupe are huge. This is supposed to be a small variety. I grew this last year. It did grow. I did get some fruit, and they really are small. It's like the size of a baseball, maybe a little bit bigger, but a very small fruit. However, it did not taste great. It just really, it looked like a cantaloupe. It was beautiful. It kind of smelled like a cantaloupe, but it didn't have a lot of flavor. So I want to try it again and just kind of troubleshoot a few things, read a little bit more about growing melons. But this really didn't take a lot of space. It kind of grew exactly like a cucumber. So I'm going to try it again and see what happens. Moving on to peppers. In the past, we have always had some jalapeno and serrano plants. Once again, for my husband's cooking, with liking to cook a lot of Asian and Indian food. So we've just always bought those plants at the nursery, but I wanted to try them from seed. So I got this early jalapeno and just regular serranos, and these have always done great. I've never had problems growing those hot peppers. And then I'm gonna try a variety of sweet peppers. I've done some pepper plants from the nursery before, and I would always get like 1 or 2 peppers from it, but nothing huge, nothing great. But I just wanted to try growing them from seed this year and trying a few different varieties. I don't really enjoy cooking with peppers. I don't like cooked peppers, but I do like snacking on peppers, on sweet peppers. So I have a few different varieties I'm trying. I have the Purple Beauty, Orange Sun, Golden Cal Wonder, California Wonder. I think these ones maybe start out as green and then will turn into just like a red pepper. And then I have this Sweet Belle blend. These are red, orange, and yellow. So I don't know what colors I'm gonna get. We will see. So that is what I have for peppers. Moving on to green beans, one of my favorite things. So last year, I only did pole beans, so I have these from last year, and these did really, really well. The Seychelles, I think that's how you say it. These did really, really well, but they really kind of go all over the place. You got to be careful with these, so I need to do a little better job managing them. But these are the pole beans. We had a lot of tasty beans from that. And then I am going to try bush beans again. I think in the past, I just never realized that bush beans, you don't get a lot from one plant, and it just kind of like grows all at once and then it's done. Like, it's not going to continue for a long time. So I shied away from bush beans, but I want to try them again this year and just be a little more diligent about the succession planting. So I have 3 types. I'm going to do the contender. I think I've done this one in the past and it has grown well. So just a classic green bean. These ones are supposed to be really good. Then I have the Gold Rush and the Royal Burgundy. So I thought that would just be fun to try a couple different colors. Moving on to last thing here, some summer flowers. So once again, this is where some of this is new for me. So going along with pest control, marigolds and nasturtium. So I just started seedlings for a lot of these. I don't know how many are going to actually make it into the garden just because of the space, but I wanted to try starting seedlings and see where I could put things later. So I'm starting with 2 types of marigolds. We have this African marigold, the Phyllis, and this French marigold, the Favorite Blend. So we're going to see how those do. I did seed start some nasturtium, even though you're supposed to direct sow it. I figured, why not try? So we have this black velvet that just looks really beautiful, and the jewel blend. So both the nasturtium and the marigold should work well to help deter cabbage moths. I also had a pollinator bundle that I got through Botanical Interests, and a couple things in there were the Cosmos and the Black-Eyed Susans. So I planted some of those. I started these seedlings the other day. The Cosmos actually already started coming through. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put these, but we shall see. Once again, just starting them out to see what happens. I also got these sweet peas. I thought I'd try them. This I was kind of thinking of putting in the memorial for my cat that I want to start making. These colors just made me think of her. But I do know these can get a little unruly if you're not careful. So we're going to see. I just started the seedlings. We'll see if they actually go. I also saw these daisies. I just love daisies. They're just such happy little flowers. And then one thing I have grown the past several years are sunflowers, and I might get a couple other varieties. But last year I grew these lemon queens. They do grow very tall, but they had really pretty flowers, and I loved that you would get more than one flower per stem. It was a little bit of a branching one, so you would get maybe 3 or 4 heads on each stem. And then for a more compact variety, I've heard really good things about these honey bear ones. So I really look forward to growing these. They just look so happy. And like I said, I might grab a couple other sunflowers. I just always have to have them in the garden. They're my favorite. They just make me so happy. But we'll see what I get with that. So I know that was a little long, but I just wanted to get on and share the varieties that I chose for my small space, and tell you a little bit about what's worked for me in the past, what hasn't, and what I'm hoping to get out of the garden this year. So thanks for stopping by, and I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know what you're growing this year. I'd love to hear what you're growing in your space and what type of space you have, and what you're looking forward to growing this season. Keep growing where you are. I just had to share my seed box. I was using this to hold the camera, so I couldn't show you earlier. But these are just all stickers that have come with my green stalk orders. And I just think these are so stinking cute. Turn up the beets. I love it. Adorable. So cute.